Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
2026 is upon us, and with it, a brand new season of top-level sprint car sim racing in the ASRG sim sphere. A new promoter working with new eyes and ears behind the scenes, but the same faces, the same fantastic racing. It is the ASRG Sprintcar Pro Invitational Series, and we're here for round one, the LCJ Carpentry Big Gator Bash at Volusia Speedway Park. An absolutely fantastic circuit ready to kick us off for the brand new season. We're live here on SimSpeed TV. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, whichever platform you've come from. Welcome. My name is Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, producing, pressing the buttons, bringing you these beautiful pictures. Scott, I'm excited. It's always great when sprint cars come back around.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most exciting racing events you're actually going to get to see right across the season. And the reason that I say that is it's all wall-to-wall action. And I literally mean wall-to-wall action in the cases where we do have a wall on the inside. Often not the case, by the way, when you get on the dirt stuff. There's going to be a line forming. That line is going to move, which is uncommon to those of you who are joining us from the asphalt side of things. If you're used to circuit racing, well, there's going to be a whole lot of turning that wheel to the right to make the car go left. And that's a foreign concept to a bunch of different people. But that's what we've got for us, not only here tonight, but right the way across the season as well, Reese. 410 sprint cars, things with wings, things that slide with wings. Well, for a GT3 guy, that actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, certainly doesn't. And Volusia Speedway Park in particular is a track that really tests the mettle of those trying to make the transition from asphalt to dirt. It's a D-shaped oval, half a mile in length, that's 800 meters, and it's got a curved back stretch, which is certainly going to make things interesting when it comes to moves into turn 3. There's also the pit lane attenuator coming out of turn 4 that in the past has been a very big place for big incidents as drivers try to power out of it. Nathan van der Wacker won the feature, or the A-Main, in the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Australian Sprint Car Championships last year. We are going to be having a 35-lap A-Main for this particular one here. 35 laps last year as well. As we check out the full season schedule, goodness me, Scott, we're going to be racing all the way to October.
Yeah, 15 times right throughout the year, twice in April, twice in May, twice in June and July. It's going to be 3 to knock us through the middle of the year. August twice, September as well, then the start of October to finish us out. Looking through for the shortest race of the season, 30 laps at Port Royal. That's one of the biggest tracks we're going to see on the service as well. Then it's all the way up to the Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55, 50 laps. Short, sharp racing is what it's about. But Reese, that format, if you're not used to dirt sprint car guys as well, it's not straight up racing. It's not, you know, race 1, race 2, race 3. No, it's a little bit different than that. You've got to qualify your way into what we call the feature or the A main at the back end of tonight's race. First up, qualifying. That determines what heat you're going to be in and also where that qualifying position will put your heat when you get all the way through the feature. There's going to be 4 that advance out of each one of the heats, 8 laps in length. No cautions available to the drivers in the heats as well. The top 2 out of each heats go into a redraw, and tonight we're actually going to have a little bit of an extra format when we get there, which is the redraw dash. You'll see that on the right-hand side. C-Main, this is the bottom step of the drivers. The guys that don't qualify direct into the feature, they've got the longest route to make their way through to the feature here tonight. Only the top 4 from our C-Main will make it through to the B-Main. You've got to qualify out of the C-Main to make it to the B-Main. Only then, once you meet the B-Main, do the top 4 make it through to the A-Main, or our feature race for the night. 24 cars make that feature, but we also mix them up for that redraw race and, crucially tonight, the dash race.
Yes, indeed. So essentially the way it's going to work is the first and second place finishers in each heat, of which I believe there are 5 for tonight's event, they will all basically have the spinny wheel, which is an attribute that has been seen on SimSpeed TV a lot in the past. Live on the broadcast, we're going to be spinning a wheel, much like Wheel of Fortune, and where that wheel lands for every particular driver is where they're going to be starting. The heat winners will be eligible for positions 1 through 5 in the dash, and the second place finishers in the heats will be eligible for positions 6 through to 10. And then they all get together in those positions they've been assigned from the redraw, race for 6 laps, and that effectively decides the top 10 on the grid for the A main at the end of the night. It can be a little bit complex, a little bit overwhelming if it's your first time looking at a format like this, but let the event play out and it will all come to you. It's such an interesting format to go for as well. It means that no matter what stage of the night we're at, there's something to race for.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing as well is that it's a challenge to get through to that feature. You don't just show up into this place, into this series, and automatically make the big money race of the night. That's the big thing. Look at this series. Look at the history of it, Reese, and let's walk our way all the way back through the years of the Oceanic Dirt Sim events. And this year, in 2026, proudly brought to you by the ASRG group as well. Sprintcar Pro Invitational. New branding, new style of things, same basis behind, though, that's been running for a number of years. New promoters, and you'll see that as we walk through the tower. All the way back in 2020 and pre-2020, the BB Gold Cup 360s, Alex Bergeron, 2023 60s, Jock Goodyear and Joel Berkeley. How about that for a name that you're going to be seeing here tonight? 2020 Australian Sprint Car Series, Richie McLeod, Harry Stewart. You're going to see a few of them as we walk our way through the series. He's one of those big names. He'll either go big or he will go home. He's that style of driver in the 410 wing. King of the 360s. Look at all those races in the year of COVID. David Hellman, Tim Ryan got his name out there. Joel Berkeley, Tim Ryan again. Aidan Bjerlin, Jaden Russell, Tim Ryan, Nathan Van Der Wecker. What that says to me about this track here tonight at Volusia Speedway, no one's been good enough to utterly stamp their name of authority on this racetrack. And tonight, we're back in the biggest sprint cars we've got available to us, 410cc. These guys are going to be spinning these things up. But the critical thing, Reese, bigger engines, more throttle management. 360s, 305s, mash gas, go fast. 410, that takes some finesse to it.
Certainly does, and if you convert it to liters, you'll find it's just about 7 liters in engine capacity, 900 horsepower in a car that only weighs about 600 kilos. It's absolutely crazy. We got quite a few rookies joining us here for this season, and that's rookies to this particular championship. You may recognize a few of the names here from other sprint car series around the world, in particular Aiden Forster and Tanner Pettit at either end of the list. Coming in from America. They are quite competitive sprint car racers on the global scene, but we also see a few names that have made appearances in former series in the Australia-New Zealand sim racing community. Bradley Minchell, Ethan Bastian in particular are names that I recognize coming back. Everyone else pretty much brand new. One name that is jumping out to me is that number 10 of Henry Fenson. He and the rest of the crew at the Fenson Brothers Racing team have been active in a few series in the Australian sim racing community, but this is the first time we're going to be seeing a Fenson on dirt. What names jump out to you here, Scott?
Look, I think one of a few of the big things is probably Bradley Minshall. I mean, I've seen him over the years do reasonably well. Like you said, Fenson as well as a name that just sort of regularly pops out in terms of things. But it's probably one of the names that's not going to show up on any of these lists here tonight. We've got our back-to-back defending champion in Ethan Winter, and I've been lucky enough actually to call him teammate over on the NASCAR side of things of late, actually not showing up in 2026. That's just due to a little bit of scheduling, just wasn't confident enough to put himself forward into the series and take a spot away. But that also means that we're going to have a brand new winner compared to 2025, and well, like we said, back-to-back champions 2024 as well. So I think it's all out there to play for. But the big thing, and if you think about last year, Reese, what was the big thing we kept talking about round to round? No one was able to stick it together consistently. That's the big thing in dirt racing. It was chaos last year, more chaotic than I expected to see in a very long time.
Yeah, before 2025, when we were going through a season-long championship, we usually had a pretty good idea of who was going to start on top, who was going to end up on top with their form throughout the season. But especially in the early season, in the first few rounds, we had no idea where the form actually was. But it's worth noting that the winner of the feature at Volusia last year, Nathan van der Wacker, did end up winning the title, though not without a lot of hard work to get there. You know, the format, the level of competition that we have in the AusNZ dirt scene is certainly going to throw up a few surprises.
Righto, it's time to jump on over to a new thing for 2026. And this is where it gets fun, because for everyone watching along at home, welcome to SpeedwayDraft.com time now, because we've all had to play around with this and we've all had to go. Thanks to the guys over at SpeedwayDraft.com, they've assigned all of the drivers that have qualified for the 2026 Pro Invitational for sprint cars a dollar value ranging from $10,000 all the way down to $2,000. The thing is, got to pick yourself a roster with $30,000 to work with. The big thing when we were looking at all the analytics on the back end, we all picked Cole Ferguson as our number 4 seat, undervalued at $4,000. Will that shift in weeks to come? But the rest of the fields and the rest of the picks for each one of us, including our producer behind the scenes, Reese, pretty much unique. How's that? So we're going to be ticking through all of these guys as well. Aiden Foster, Zach Rattray-White, Darcy Wilson, Cole Ferguson, and Aston Hurley. For Reese, I've gone with Nathan van der Wacker, Harry Stewart, Lachlan Mead, Cole Ferguson, and Henry Fenson. And our producer's gone for Bradley Oldfield, Matthew Gowans, Craig Dunn, Cole Ferguson, and Thomas Mitchell. Critical notes to come out of actually Jay's lineup. And this was noted by our series admin as well. Matthew Gowans and Craig Dunn, specialists at the half miles as well. So it might be that our producer's got one over us on us in week 1 race.
Yeah, potentially. We'll just have to wait and see how all of this stacks out. I mainly went for names that I recognize from previous seasons and drivers that have shown great form in other forms of racing, like Zach Rattray-White in particular. We see him in V8 Supercar competition quite a bit, fighting up there for wins, and he really upped his form on the dirt last year as well. So I'm feeling a bit optimistic, but we'll have to wait and see how it all works out. We'll, of course, be tracking our scores throughout the season. So it's nice to have a little bit of competition here in the commentary box. Looks like drivers are coming out on the track here for practice and hot laps presented by NBS 3D Printed RC and Slot Car Customs. This is going to be the driver's first opportunity to figure out the track in the current server conditions. You'll notice that the track is completely clean for the moment, but very rapidly, Scott, we're going to see an initial groove start to form. Look at that already, all of those marbles being thrown up.
Yeah, and these guys will be given limited practice time. There's actually a fair bit of practice time left open to us in terms of server capacity at the moment. About 16 minutes left on the clock. We're actually not going to use all of that. And the reason for that is track state does evolve. You can see it evolving on your screens right now. Car up in the fence down over there as well. What's going to happen? We have a groove tire here. There's a lot of tread blocks on this thing. But the thing is, dirt, it's loose. It moves its way around the track. Anyone that owns a speedway track, anyone that works on a speedway track, they want to break that dirt up. And the reason for that is that shiny stuff that's starting to form down low. That's where there's not a whole lot of loam. When the track's got loam on it, there's something for the tyre to bite into. When that loam moves off, the track starts to form what we call a hard pack surface. It gets shinier. Ain't no grip on that hard pack surface. It needs something to bite into. That's great for a slick tyre. We run groove tyres, though. They need to find some dirt to find some purchase on this track. Makes for a little bit of a uniqueness as this track will evolve all night long.
Yeah, and you'll be seeing also a bit more heat being driven into the track over where the drivers are running over the most. So those slick parts of the racetrack are going to get warmer and warmer depending on the conditions, which will decrease the grip even further. Drivers will have to run a little bit above it into what dirt racers call the cushion, more or less, to get the best grip around the circuit. Well, now it's time for our next short session. It's qualifying, presented by SimRap Market. This is how we will decide the starting order for the heats. And I believe it's roughly a snake split or so on. Basically, the driver that runs the fastest time in this session gets pole position for Heat 1, and then the driver in second place gets pole position for Heat 2, so on and so forth. Everyone from 6th to 10th in this session will start second in their heat, and so it goes until we have the entire field setting times. Let's see who has the pace.
That's it. A lot of opportunity to get out there, and I've seen Joel Berkeley get out there early. We also had a quick look at Aiden Foster, and now we'll get the opportunity to check out Baxter Truchet as he comes down the back straightaway. Gets the line. First lap is going to come in as a 12.915. These times are going to come through thick and fast for our fans watching along at home. Quick time early on. Matthew Gowans, we were talking about the half-mile specialist. He's going to throw down nice and early, get a time to the top. Joel Berkeley didn't have the season that he wanted in the first half of 2025. He goes to P2 on the session nice and early. How about Cole Ferguson, though? All three of us picked him to P3 early on.
Nicely done there, but it's Gowans and Berkeley our top two as everyone continues to set their times here. About half to 2/3 of the field have set their requisite 2 laps here. They're only allowed 2 laps in qualifying, and the first lap is basically one where you're ramping up your speed to attack this circuit. The speeds that sprint cars manage, they have those giant wings on them. They produce a ton of downforce, probably quite literally. So they are being forced into the track at incredibly high speeds. A lap around here, half a mile, covered in 12.5 seconds at the top. That just gives you a taste of what kinds of speeds these drivers are setting. Daniel Boyd getting into 20th spot there and a bit of a snap there out of turn 2. Here's Mr. 6th place. It's Synergy number 88, Brenton Hobson, currently sitting in 12th. And at the end of his second lap, he does not improve. Misses out by 1/10 of a second on improving his time.
How about Nathan Vanderwacker threw a time in there early, and I'll probably be a little bit biased. I've got to get that out of the way nice and early, Reese. Tell you what, I'll tell you the reason why. My partner's primary sponsor on the N88 for Vanderwacker this season, so I've got a little bit of skin in the game in the way things are running, though. For Tim Ryan, though, he's a man of many talents in the real world. He's a man for Altus at the moment as he's going to rip down the bottom. The blue and black Logitech G98 machine for Ryan. 12.547 to the top. Timmy Ryan throws down a quick time, and that is a stamp on the board. But the boys from the States, here they come. They bring their cars and all their juices from the other side of the planet. What do they got for us? Tanner Petit to the line. 13.102 goes to a 12.678 on lap number 2. Not good enough for the front half of the field for Tanner Petit. 15th spot for his lane. Clayton Davies, how about a Claper view for you?
Absolutely. So then that's 5th place for the moment there from Davies. An excellent first lap there, but it looks like he's losing pace there on the second lap, so he's not going to commit to another one. Bailey Leeson going to set his first times here. It's a 12.8. We have had just about every driver, aside from Jacob Freeman, setting a time in this session as Leeson clips the inside wall through 3 and 4, and that's going to be lap 2 done and dusted. He will have to settle for whatever position he does end up in. This is what happened to Freeman, by the way. Wide entry into turn 1. The car was snapping, but it looks like there was a hardware failure for him.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That's a steering wheel fault of some description. Wheel hard to the right-hand side. Violent hit. First quick time of the season. Man behind the 98. A man who had a very mismatched 2025. Tim Ryan will take the first pole of the season from Gowans, Berkeley, Rattray White, Clayton Davies. Darcy Wilson from Anton Smith, Cole Ferguson inside the top 10. We'll be very happy with that one to start his season out from Matthew Stables and Dan Grimshaw.
Indeed. And the final place on the grid will be taken by Thomas Mitchell. 11 cars per heat in this particular event. We have had a grand total of 53 drivers getting into the session here. The full grid then, Ryan is going to be on the row with Darcy Wilson. Aiden Forster's got Brenton Hobson for company on row number 2. We have Ethan Foley starting alongside Nick Ryan on row number 3. Trent Gosley, a driver who's had some pretty poor luck in previous years. Hopefully 2026 is a good one for him. Oscar Ames making his debut last season. He'll start from 8th. Then it's Leeson and Hamish Canistari rounding out your top 10. Thomas Mitchell all on his lonesome there in the number 28 at the back of the grid. Now, reminder, the top 4 from this heat, from every heat, will advance straight through to the A main. So it's really important to get into that 4th place and stay there. Defend it for your life. And if you're behind, then attack as hard as you can to get into it. Everyone will still have an opportunity to race tonight, either in the C or B mains if they finish outside the top 4, but it is that top 4 that they will be shooting for.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, get set. If you have not seen sprint car racing on iRacing before, you're in for all action all the time. These races are short and sharp. The heats, there's going to be no yellow flags. Reese, this has been your series. I've been lucky enough to work on it with you the last couple seasons. You better call me the first green flag of the season, my friend.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It's going to be a fantastic start to the season here at Volusia Speedway Park. They will enter the start zone very shortly. Tim Ryan taking point on the inside of the front row to lead us away for 8 laps in this heat. It's going to be over before you know it, within about 1.5 minutes or so. And we're away. Tim Ryan is going to lead us across the line for the first heat, and it's already on for second between Darcy Wilson and Aiden Forster. Forster getting the run on him there. And Darcy Wilson is falling back there, 3 wide with Ethan Foley and Brenton Hobson. And now the transfer spot is certainly up for grabs.
And that number 88, he had a wicked, terrible 2025. He'd like to start 2026 with getting things done out of the first heat of the night. Darcy Wilson will slide his way into 4th. A little bit of contact deeper in the field. Mitchell got his way to 9th. Gosley's going around to 11th. The first car up and over the season. Wing flipping off that thing, but they'll come through 3 and 4 for lap number 3 and heat number 1, and they're going to the line. I tell you what, on between Darcy Wilson and Hobbo for the first transfer of the night.
Yes, this is a very close battle indeed, but it looks like Wilson's checked up Hobbo there through turn 3, and Nick Ryan takes advantage. More contact, and Brenton Hobson is sent further back, now down to 8th. It's going to have to be one hell of a run from Hobbo if he wants to get back into the top 4 there, but now he's threatening to get shuffled back to 9th with Thomas Mitchell up his inside onto lap 6, and it looks like the lead is on now as well. Aiden Forster is making a charge, and he's gotten up the inside of Tim Ryan into 3. There's a bit of contact and the cut back from the first iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car champion, Tim Ryan, and Ethan Foley making it 3 wide on the inside into turn 3. It's on.
It is certainly on. Heat number 1 of the season, lap number 8. White flag's going to be out to start the first final lap of the heat in 2026. It's going to be Tim Ryan to second. It's on! They get into each other. Tim Ryan and drama. 2 words you can never separate. Ethan Foley takes the first heat of the season. And I tell you what, the number 98, he is not happy right now.
Oh, I can't imagine. He does still finish in the top 4, though, so he will advance through to the dash and later on the feature, but that's going to be Ethan Foley taking the first heat of the season with Forster and Wilson rounding out the podium. Tim Ryan making it into the transfer, but only just with that contact on the final lap. Nick Ryan will miss out on getting into the feature. Bailey Leeson, Thomas Mitchell, Oscar Ames, Brenton Hobson, and Hamish Canistani. The field that finished covered by 5.5 seconds and change. Unfortunately, Trent Gosley with contact early on was unable to make it to the finish. So a pretty disastrous start to the round there for Gosley, but there's plenty of opportunities to fight back. It's time for Heat 2 right away. It's Matthew Gowans who starts on pole position. Ayrton Smith is going to start alongside him on the front row. Then it's going to be Hayden Vickers to lead us away from P3, and Tanner Pettit is going to bring us on the second row. Rusty O'Neill going to start alongside Nathan Norman on row number 3. Then it's Paul Ward and Lachlan Mead rounding out your top 8. The top 10 rounded out by the 91 of James Oliver and the 099 of Riley Jones. And then the last spot will go to Jacob Freeman, who, as we saw earlier, had a hardware failure in qualifying and was not able to set a time. So we don't really have a read on his pace just yet.
Yeah, so it'll be an opportunity, but, you know, Tanner Pettit a little bit down that order as well. Matthew Gowans has got a really, really big one. I think coming out of that first heat there, Reese, the big thing that we noticed was that it was sort of that middle to bottom of the groove, particularly over in 3 and 4 is where you sort of wanted to be. 1 and 2, though, starting to slick off nice and early. There'll be a few changes up and down the field, but critically, it's going to be those top 4. A lot of contact for Tim Ryan, still gets the transfer out, but that's the big thing. Do you want to go big? Racing for that lead means that you might be in the spot for a real strong redraw on that dash, or do you just focus on qualifying and getting your way out of this one cleanly? That means there'll be point on the table in the feature.
Yeah, indeed. There's 2 ways you can really attack it, right? All guns blazing from the beginning with the risk of putting yourself by the wayside, or just hanging back, trying to pick up places where you can, mounting an attack later on. You risk losing your opportunity in the first place if you do that. It's so tough to figure out, but one thing that has been figured out there is Matthew Gowans taking the start properly, and Hayden Vickers didn't quite get the start that he wanted there for the start of Heat 2. He will be alongside Tanner Pettit, though, for 3rd place. The American versus the Australian across the line to end the first lap. It's side by side as well between O'Neill and Norman for 5th place. And this battle for the transfer is already looking like the battle to watch. Gowans skipping away, 0.6 of a second in the lead.
Yeah, just able to use up all the racetrack and carry the momentum the whole way around to the top side now for Anton Smith. He's going to try and find some speed, but he's trying to get underneath the rear wheel now of Hayden Vickers and at least harass him. Look at the speed, though, as they come down the front straight away. Smith is certainly finding some speed, but he needs that bottom line to wear away a little bit. Petit was a little bit closer a couple laps ago as they hit the 3 and 4. It's this top 4, and they're separated by a fair way, but someone's going to try and throw something here in a minute, and there's the first cracks from Hayden Vickers.
Yeah, looked like a bit too much oversteer on the way through 1 and 2, and he's suffering the same issue through 3 and 4 as well. Just avoids hitting the pit lane attenuator. That is going to be Tanner Pettit. Actually, Ayrton Smith, sorry, through already, and then Pettit makes the moves round the outside into 3 and 4. Moving a bit further up the circuit now as the track continues to evolve. It seems like Vickers is having some trouble there.
Yeah, looks like whatever the issue was, he's struggling for a little bit of consistency at the moment. Ayrton Smith in the last couple laps has been one of the quickest cars, but nearly finds himself turning off the front end of Tanner Pettit. He turned down the corner a little bit earlier. Pettit had the thing fully and utterly wound up. It's on for 5th and 6th. Nathan Norman just threw a hell of a slider, and now it's going to be responded in kind on the nose now of Nathan Norman. It was Riley Jones. 99 and the 2 were going at it on the last lap. It's going to be the transfer for Gowans from Smith, from Petit, from Vickers, but Riley Jones and Nathan Norman. That could be a battle to watch as the night progresses.
Oh, certainly could. They'll be racing together in the C or the B main later on. So that is far from over for those drivers. That is your top 10 then. Jones, Norman, Freeman, O'Neill, Oliver, and Mead missing out on making the transfer there, along with Paul Ward, who, much like Trent Gosley in Heat 1, retired 6 laps from the end for something we didn't catch. Time for Heat 3. The grid is started by Joel Berkeley and Cole Ferguson, 2 of the big heavy hitters in Dirt Sim racing. That is your front row. Hadley Boyce from New Zealand is going to start the 727 out of 3rd place alongside Blake Walsh, who got a few feature wins under his belt last year. Let's see if that form will continue. Ethan Bastian, one of the rookies here. He has done sprint car racing before, but he was committing to the full season for the first time, starting alongside Daniel Boyd. Then it's Riley Hutchison and Nash Granger on your 4th row of the grid. Darcy Walker and Bradley Minshall will round out the top 10, and it is only going to be 10 cars in this heat. the 11th place belonging to our race control guy, Liam James, who stays in the session as a driver and administrates from there. He's already disqualified himself, so he won't be taking to the track today. Joel Berkeley going to lead us away for this one, and he's certainly no stranger to winning either.
Yeah, and he'll be keen to get his season off on the right foot. I tell you what, don't point out to Liam James that he's not racing tonight too many times. You might be finding yourself at the end of a disqualification if it keeps up, Reese. Don't test the man. He loves to get out there and get racing when he can. So big thank you to all the administrators and everyone who gets things done behind the series. There ain't no way we'd go racing, and particularly with the amount of support that we get right the globe over this series, of course, with a few Americans in it each and every year and a couple new ones to it. Apologies to Petit from the first couple of races as well. Apparently we got that name wrong, Reese. Hey, first night of the year. There's bound to be some mistakes. I'm glad they're in the comms box and not out in the racetrack.
Yes, indeed. I'd be very interested to see if Liam James could disqualify me from this comms box. I'd like to see him try.
Done. I'll look into that for you.
Well, heat number 3, the heats presented by Mono Creative. Joel Berkeley is already away as we find our way to the first turn again. Big moves between Hadley Boyce and Cole Ferguson. A bit of a concertina, and Blake Walsh is the big loser out of that one. He's fallen back to P7 before they even get to the end of lap 1, and Ferguson is in the wall. We all picked him for our fantasy league, and unfortunately, it looks like we might be having some difficulties with that. Daniel Boyd now moves into the transfer spot, but he's getting harassed by Nash Granger.
Yeah, this is where it's going to be. There's 3 cars to roll blanket over them at the moment. The 05 machine at Granger. And remember, it was Mr. Slick Track last year from the 97. Blake Walsh couldn't put enough runs together in 2025. Is he going to be here for a few more rounds in 2026? The Vortex machine in the 79 of Dan Boyd has currently got that spot on lock. Eastern Bastion moved up to the high side, as has just about the whole field, looking for some speed. But if he wants to attack the back of Boyce, and Boyce through that big block in turn 1 and 2, he's going to have to move around, and that is where the risk starts.
Yeah, a lot of risk now trying to run that low line. You're going to be seeing them run closer and closer to the wall as the track evolves. Look at the run out of turn 2 from Nash Granger, though. He got up in the cushion. He ramped off it going down the banking. It has put him a little bit compromised for turns 3 and 4 as he's under pressure from Blake Walsh, who's desperately trying to find his way a bit further forward. Contact ahead.
Well, the big thing is Ethan Bastian's been called at fault for the incident we have. He's not going to be transferring out of this heat, so now keep your eyes on P5, and he's going to move down the racetrack as well. It doesn't mean that he's giving up. He's still throwing everything he possibly can at him. Daniel Boyd now doesn't need to have a go for this position. Here it comes. The slider to the inside gets balked up in the top lane. Granger will get through. Boyd back to 5th. Will get escalated to 4th, and the transfer after that one. But that was just about 3 wide at the line in heat number 3. Are you kidding me? We got 2 more of these bad boys and then a couple of mains to go through.
Yeah, wow. The night's already getting off to a very good start here. Berkeley taking victory in Heat 3 in the end, with Hadley Boyce, Nash Granger, and Daniel Boyd classified in your top 4, with Ethan Bastian sent to the back thanks to the black flag. Blake Walsh finishing in 5th spot, with Riley Hutchison, Darcy Walker, Minshall, Bastian, and Ferguson rounding out your field. Bastian and Ferguson in particular will be looking for a bit more out of the races to come, and Blake Walsh will be desperate to get into that feature. There's going to be a lot more racing to come from these guys. Heat 3 is done, and now it's time for Heat 4. And look who's on pole position. Zach Rattray White in the Eclipse Sim Sports number 17. He's got Matthew Stables alongside him in the Iridium number 48. Brady Baldwin, the man behind Oceanic Dirt Sim Events, and the driving force, one of the driving forces behind this championship, is starting 3rd place alongside Baxter Truchet. Then we've got Kobe Noonan and Bradley Oldfield, late model driver over here in WA. I've seen him race at the Motorplex a couple of times. That's your 3rd row. John Schultz and reigning series champion Nathan Vanderwacker are going to be on row number 4. Then it's Gary Redcliffe and Nick Mithen rounding out the 10 cars to bring us through to Heat 4. Rattray White has been getting better and better every time I've seen him on a broadcast, Scott. I'm really interested to see what he can do here.
Yeah, could be a lot of opportunities as well. I'm just looking at this heat and I'm just going, you know, this is probably the most mixed up one. I think anyone's capable of winning this. The biggest thing for Rattray White, who want to get a strong launch, he controls this first restart here in heat number 4, and there's an opportunity to run away at the front. Remember what Gowans was able to do a couple of heats ago. He just set pace nice and early. That set him up so he wasn't under pressure late on in that heat, and that'll be the restart he's looking for. Keep your eyes, I think, on Kobe Noonan. He's keen for a strong start. Bradley Oldfield hasn't qualified well of late. Can he surge through?
Yeah, lot of attributes here in this field to figure out as time goes on. But now the timer starts for heat number 4. Rattray White with the launch leading us away. And typically of these heats, we're seeing the driver who started in 3rd place having a run, and that's big into the wall there for Bradley Oldfield. He's already out.
Yeah, Oldfield up and over, but he's not the only one. It's Matthew Stable's got the fence as well. He was sort of spooked a little bit because Baldwin tried to send a slider. He left him room on the top side, but then there wasn't bite from the rear end of the 46 machine. Now he'll have to clamber his way back through. Good news is, doesn't look like there's damage, but a slider from Schultz onto the nose of the 46 machine means that he has to check some of that momentum. Can't find the drive at this point in time. Van der Wacker's through to 4th. He's gained 4 spots in the heat thus far. He's going to be tracking down Kobe Noonan.
Lovely stuff from Van der Wacker. Oldfield deemed at fault for the incident, has been given a black flag, but that's ultimately not going to really change his finishing position. We've lost 3 cars, including Oldfield, Mithen and Truchet, also out of the race so far. 4 laps to go, and this is on here for the transfer. Rattray White and Baldwin have driven away from everyone else in the ensuing melee. Kobe Noonan holding on by just a couple of tenths of a second here as we follow Van der Wacker around. Question is, when does he make the move? That is going to be the question that will be answered shortly. Nice smooth turn in for Zach Rattray White, and a little bit deep there for Baldwin on the exit. Can he translate that into a run across the D?
And the big thing is the shiny slick surface starting to poke its nose through that layered up dirt. And all of a sudden, the loam's moving to the high side. Grip's starting to come at a premium, and then suddenly the cutback moves are going to start to be on. Here it comes now. Final couple of laps in terms of this heat. In fact, the final lap. It's going to be on at this point in time. Van der Wacker's made the move to 3rd. Here comes Noonan back to the bottom, trying to find some drive. The 88 from the top side through to P3, and it's going to be Noonan transferring out of 4.
That was a great battle for the last spot on the podium, but the top 2 spots taken by Zach Rattray White and Brady Baldwin, only 1.5 tenths between them in the end. Van der Wacker and Noonan will transfer straight through to the feature, and then it's John Schultz just missing out on the transfer by a couple of tenths. Stables, another few tenths behind him, another half a second back to Gary Redcliffe, who was the last finisher in this race. Mithen, Truchet, and Oldfield all retiring, and since Oldfield had already retired when his black flag was applied by race control, he will get an end-of-line penalty in his next race. It's time for the final heat of the night. Clayton Davies is on pole position for this one with Daniel Grimshaw alongside. Paul Bryan going to start P3 with Kelly Carmen starting alongside in the number 33. Harry Stewart and Aston Hurley, 2 regulars in ODSE competition, will be our 3rd row of the grid with Casey Hamilton and Brock Thompson. Their qualifying times only separated by 0.06 of a second. Henry Fenson in his first dirt sprint car race broadcast here on SimSpeed, going to be starting alongside Lachlan Rogers to round out the 10 cars. Just one more heat to go, and then we can start getting further into the meat of the night, Scott. The C and B mains are rapidly approaching.
Yeah, here it comes as well. And I want to say a big shout out as well to the sponsors that have helped us up to this point in the night. Practice and the Hot Laps brought to us by MBS 3D Printed RC and Slot Car Customs, Simrat Market Qualifying, and the last of the Mono Creative Heats. This is the big one. Harry Stewart is always capable of sneaking a race win. He's one of those drivers that either goes big or he goes home. There ain't no in between. Who's going to stop him on his run to the feature? Does he transfer straight out of this one? Watch from the inside of row number 3.
Yes. Oh, waiting with bated breath then for the call of the green flag. The pace truck pulling out a little bit further now once it enters the pit lane and they're in the start zone. Interesting to see that that Clayton Davies is going a bit higher there on the initial start, and away we go. That's going to be the run done for Clayton Davies there, but Paul Bryan immediately moving up into second spot. Grimshaw and Stewart side by side for third. Harry's going to have to try and work the bottom there, at least for the first couple of laps if he wants to have a real run at this, but he is under threat for that last transfer spot. Kelly Carman, Aston Hurley and Casey Hamilton are all in it.
Contact.
Clayton Davies, 4/10 in the lead as that's contact for Carman. Gets himself sent back into Brock Thompson.
Whoa, more contact as well for the number 33 machine, and it looks like there might be a little bit of damage on the end fencing of that wing as well. Stewart has managed to slot his way through into P4, and it's done. It's heat over for the Auto Moves 33. He's going to be towing that one back to pit lane. Has not got on the way he wants in his first night of racing action here for the Pro Sprint Car Series. Back to the top, though. Clayton Davies, clean pair of heels out in front. Seems to be fighting the ton of bite out of that clay down the bottom, mate.
Yes, indeed. A lot of clay that's been thrown up to the very top of the circuit, and they're still managing to run a little bit below that line there. We'll have to wait and see how much of the track is going to be usable in the C and B mains, and we'll be having a chat a bit later on to our B main winner to just suss out how the track's been evolving. It is single file for the most part here as they begin lap 7, but that's when the temperature starts to rise and we start seeing runs.
Well, there's a big moment a little bit deeper in the field, and it's going to be, I think it was Lachlan Rogers. Well, actually, no, sorry, my apologies. It was Aston Hurley. Aston Hurley's going back to the pit lane. Casey Hamilton's picked himself up a black flag, so he won't be transferring out of this feature as well. Deemed at fault for, I think, the move that was actually early on in this one, so he will not be getting that transfer spot. Here we are right now. Race for the win at this point in time. Paul Bryan stuck it to Clayton Davies. Last lap, last turn, and it went chaotic. At the back end of it, Davies from Bryan, Grimshaw from Stewart, the transfers.
There was only 400ths of a second in it between Clayton Davies and Paul Bryan there, and Paul really had a red-hot go of it on the final lap. Daniel Grimshaw and Harry Stewart another few tenths back apiece. They will transfer through with Casey Hamilton the first to miss out, Brock Thompson, Henry Fenson, Lachlan Rogers, Aston Hurley and Kelly Carman rounding out our field there. Carman, the sole retiree with Aston Hurley, apparently finishing a lap down as well. It is now time for the C main presented by Wimmera Dry Cleaners. And it's going to be Rusty O'Neill on pole position for this one. Bradley Minshall alongside to start things off. Nick Mithen and Casey Hamilton find each other for company on row number 2. In 5th place, it's Brenton Hobson alongside James Oliver. And then in 7th spot, we will find Ethan Bastian starting alongside Baxter Truchet. Both drivers having issues in their heats. They can redeem themselves from here, as can Aston Hurley and Hamish Canistari. It's a bigger field for this one. Lachlan Mead and Cole Ferguson are 11th and 12th. Ferguson in particular, we're looking to see what he can do. One of the better drivers in the field, but missing out on a result. Same for Bradley Oldfield with Kelly Carman alongside him in 14th. And then Trent Gosley and Paul Ward, two drivers that have not had a good night so far. They need a good result here to back themselves.
Yeah, and the big thing is a couple drivers with end-of-line penalties as well. So you're going to see a couple drivers drop to the back. Ethan Bastian, Bradley Oldfield, Casey Hamilton will be starting from the rear for infringements relating to their heat races as well. But for the moment, the big thing for the viewers watching along at home, this is where we start the alphabet. Top 4 of the heats so far, they transfer directly through to tonight's feature. However, we have 24 spots in the feature on offer. 20 of those come from the heats, 4 come from the remainder. Once you're out of your heat, you're not done for the day. You get an opportunity here from the C main. 4 of these guys will move on to the B main, but they'll start from the back. From the B main, you got to get all the way to the front. Top 4, you are on your way to the feature and in with a chance of some cash.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic to have the prizes on offer for this series. But this race is basically the last chance that some of these drivers will have to stay in the running. Anyone who finishes outside the top 4 here is going to be going home. Maybe Rusty O'Neill will be able to pull it off here as he leads us away from the front already. Some bishing, bashing and boshing further back for the transfer spot. Brenton Hobson getting into 4th. Aston Hurley. There looks like there's contact there, and James Oliver has been sent completely out of the circuit. We've lost 3 cars out of that in a matter of half a second. Baxter Truchet and Trent Gosley are out too.
Yeah, a couple of the guys that are jumping into this series for the first time. A lot of contact. They were actually full wide as they ripped down the back straight away. 12 laps here as we step up one more level, moving into our C main. And the next race, the B main, will get longer as well. Look at them zigging and zagging. They're trying to hang on to the momentum. The slick line's starting to build. The bigger engines, one up, over, and out of here.
Nick Mithen will end the race on his side there. He will escape out just in time for the rest of the field to come round. Bit more of a gap now between our drivers here. The next driver to come to a retirement is Ethan Bastian. They are dropping like flies. We only have 11 or 10 cars or so remaining. This is not ideal for a lot of drivers, but it's side by side between Lachlan Mead and Bradley Oldfield, fighting for 7th spot. Brenton Hobson still holding on nicely to the last transfer spot. It doesn't look like there's going to be much of a run coming from Canistrari or Ferguson in the meantime. This is where the fighting is at.
Yeah, and for Canistari, it's night over as well. Deemed at fault for one of the first racing incidents from C-Main as well. Cannot transfer out of this one. He's going to get a move thrown on Colgalt Ferguson from Lachlan Mead, though, so it's on up at the front as these guys go at it for P2 and P3. Bradley Minchell and Aston Hurley throwing down in the middle of the pack. But the critical factor is who's got P4 at this point in time. It's the 88 machine. Brenton Hobson, who's currently slotting in there, will get through to the end of lap 8. 2/3 of the C-Main out of the way, 1/3 to come.
Oh, that's not a great run out of turn number 2 there for Brenton Hobson and Aston Hurley, who now find themselves fighting for 3rd place. It's super tight here in the battle for the top 3. Who's going to end up being in that specific order for the transfer? Our top 4 starting to lose touch here. Hurley has... okay, hang on a minute. Casey Hamilton, Cole Ferguson, Kelly Carmen, all fighting over the same piece of racetrack for 6th and 7th. Only got a couple of laps to go, Scott, and it looks like everything's going off now. Out of the circuit goes Casey Hamilton over the guardrail.
Yeah, Bradley Minchell, though, is in a little bit of a defensive point in time. Brenton Hobson had it all crossed up. It flicked back the other way, and somehow the 88 machine is still standing on all 4 tires. Ashton Hurley managed to keep the car straight and away from him. Your transfer spots, although we might need a heart rate check-in for Hobbo. It's going to be 1 Rusty O'Neill. It's going to be 2 Bradley Minchell, Aston Hurley, and Hobson transfers. But that moment, coming off a 4 to 1 to go, he just about sent that thing 3 times over, upside down, and out of here.
So in the end, it is Rusty O'Neill winning by 1.2 seconds. He, Minchell, Hurley, and Hobson will be starting at the back of the B main coming up next. Hamish Canistrari going to finish in 5th spot with Cole Ferguson in 6th. And then we see Lachlan Mead, Paul Ward, and Kelly Carmen, the last finishers on the lead lap. We unfortunately lost Casey Hamilton very close to the end. It was the same for Bradley Oldfield, Ethan Bastian, and a few others as well as we find our way through the next page. Mithen, Truchet, Oliver, and Gosley, they were out very early, so now they'll be licking their wounds and preparing for the opportunity to redeem themselves at the next round. Now, this is going to be quite the large B main presented by McSlide Race. 20 cars headed up by Nick Ryan and Riley Jones on row number 1. And we find our way back to Blake Walsh and John Schultz on the 2nd row. Brock Thompson and Bailey Leeson are 5th and 6th. And then we move into 7th place for Nathan Norman. Riley Hutchison going to start alongside him. The top 10 rounded out by Matthew Stables and Henry Fenson. Moving back to 11th spot, Thomas Mitchell has Jacob Freeman for company on row number 6, with Darcy Walker and Gary Redcliffe sharing row number 7. In 15th spot, Lachlan Rogers has Oscar Ames for company alongside. And then it's 17th place for Rusty O'Neill, the winner of the C main. Bradley Minchell going to start alongside him. In the final row of the grid, Aston Hurley and Brenton Hobson. This is the biggest C main I've seen in a while, Scott.
Yeah, this one's absolutely monstrous. Here we go, though, boys. We've waited for this for a long period of time. This one is going to set ourselves the field, but not necessarily the starting positions as we get through the McSlide Race B main. This is it, ladies and gents. This is where all the big points come from. By the way, in terms of points, 5th place in the C main to last place in this one, 20-point jump. So just by transferring out of here, you get yourself 20 extra bonus points from there, from the back. Here we go.
Green flag flies and Nick Ryan leads us away for the C main. Riley Jones in second, and we already see them falling up the racetrack there to find any extra grip, any extra momentum they can. It's another longer race, 15 laps on the cards for this one, and the top four are together. Out of second place goes Riley Jones there. That was contact from behind, goes twirling into the wall, and there's a pile up in the midfield. That has shuffled a lot of drivers way far back. Thomas Mitchell now rounds out the top four, and Brenton Hobson found the fence. We've lost Jacob Freeman, Riley Jones, Bailey Leeson, and Henry Fenson from that.
Yeah, a lot of drivers caught up in that, and a lot more with damage that are still managing to try and get back on there if you were able to survive. And the thing is, he talks about how many drivers we are now being made. 2 more cars hit the fence. It's the 2 machine. He's gotten up and in there, and the number 11 as well. So Nathan Norman and Rusty O'Neill have both found the fence around and over. I think that might be the end of Nathan Norman. There's more chaos as well. Stables is over. We are losing them like flies. Are you kidding me on night 1 of the season?
Oh, we cut away just before potentially more contact there for Brenton Hobson, as I think it was Brock Thompson that ran into him. Brenton has completely lost his front wing, and this has completely jumbled up the field. We have lost about a third of the drivers, almost half of the field now, as Hobson has unfortunately retired. 11 cars left running from 20 starters, and the top 4 is still up for grabs. John Schultz has Rusty O'Neill to the inside. What a run it's been from our C-main winner, Rusty O'Neill.
Yeah, here they come as well, and it's not done just yet. Thomas Mitchell will be looking at a great week for the Vortex Racing outfit at this point in time. 2 nights into this week, it's been quite a successful run for him at the moment. He'd love to throw down for the team boss over at Vortex. If he can make a feature, it's been a long time between drinks for driver of the 28. John Schultz trying to go with him. Rusty O'Neill's had a little bit of contact as well, but now he's starting to find his way back through, see if he can't cut his way through and manage to somehow wrest a transfer out of the depths, out of the back of the field. That will be the big one that he's looking for at this point. 6 to go in the B main.
And Blake Walsh leading by 3 seconds now, or thereabouts. He has absolutely run away with this. Made the move on Nick Ryan very early and has not looked back. Not that he could. Sprint cars don't have rear view mirrors, fun fact. Nick Ryan and Thomas Mitchell are leading the battle for second here, which includes Schultz and O'Neill, who are fighting for the transfer spot. It looks like O'Neill struggling a little bit to keep the car straight through the corners. Check out the high line in the background from Oscar Ames and Darcy Walker as well, as it's side by side between Mitchell and Ryan for second. Thomas Mitchell moves up into second place, and it's going to be 3 laps to go now. Can Nick Ryan hold on to this momentum? He's moved back to fourth as there's contact behind.
Yeah, Rusty Ames got Oscar Ames into Rusty O'Neill. Rusty's starting to struggle as it looks like the number 11 starting to fall off. A little bit more contact, but the top 4 are absolutely going for it. Forget Blake Walsh. He's out of here. He's off. He's punching a ticket through to the A main and the feature racer tonight. But 2 left to go for Blake Walsh as he skates down off of 4. Here comes the 7 machine. Nick Ryan in the 07. He's trying to throw what he can at John Schultz to the high side. It's going to be for Thomas Mitchell. Ames has shot his way into the picture. Out of 4, checkered flag flies. John Schultz gets back through. Here comes Mitchell. Steals it. Nearly loses it. Darcy Walker just barely. Sorry, my apologies. Oscar Ames was so close to picking Nick Ryan's pockets in the last lap of the B main.
God, he was, wasn't he? Only missed out by a couple of tenths there on getting into the transfer. Those are your final results from the B main. Blake Walsh, Thomas Mitchell, John Schultz, and Nick Ryan are your transferees through to the back 4 spots in the feature, with Oscar Ames in 5th place, Darcy Walker in 6th, with Rusty O'Neill having a great run of things. Could have been fighting for the transfer, but it looked like the late race form of that car wasn't quite up to scratch. Nathan Norman, Bradley Minchell, and Brock Thompson round out your top 10, and if anything, seems like the top 10 were the only cars that finished that one. It was a brutal B main for sure. Perhaps the most contact, the most crashing that I've seen in a while.
And you know the best part? It's race number 1 at 2026, which means we've got a whole host more to come your way. Ladies and gentlemen, driver from the winner of the B main, it is Mr. Slick Racetrack himself. I think we just lost him for half a moment. We might have him back. It is going to be driver of the number 97, Mr. Hardpack. Mr. Blake Walsh weren't able to finish out the way that you wanted to in 2025, but you just showed us yet again domination on Slick Racetrack. That one went away from the heats quite quickly.
Yeah, look, mate, I haven't sat in the sim since linear till about 10 minutes before the race, so it took me a while to get back into it. But no, I felt right at home there, just up against the curb, cutting laps. No, it felt good.
What's in store for you in the 97 machine for 2026? Like you said, you just weren't able to put the season you wanted together. Real world conflict sort of took that one away. Do we have a lot more availability from you in the 97 in 2026?
At this point, mate, probably not. I think we'll miss a fair bit because we're going to spend about 2 weeks in Perth racing with real life stuff. But I don't know. I haven't really looked at the schedule. I wasn't going to even do tonight. Just don't want to really commit to anything yet. But if I've got a free night, I'll be here.
Mate, good to see you back. And I tell you what, high, wide, and handsome, you better be ripping that fence for me over in Perth.
Oh, I'll give it a crack, mate. You better tune in on Clapperview.
Ladies and gentlemen, driver the 97, Blake Walsh, Mr. Consistency on that hard pack track in 2025. We'll see if he can do it in 2026. Reese, your favourite feature of the night's about to head our way. It's something a little bit random, something out of left field. You're going to walk us through this redraw that we've got for the top 10.
Hooray! Well, we are going to be deciding who starts first through to fifth in the dash, which is going to decide the top 10 for the grid. We are deciding where Foley is going to be starting, and it looks like he's landed on 4th. So they guaranteed a top 5 start, the drivers that ended up winning the heats earlier on in the night. But it will be Foley who ends up getting into 4th spot. The next driver we're going to be deciding is where Matthew Gowans is going to start. And he'll have those 4 positions to choose from. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 5th. Wait for the spinning wheel to come to its rest. And it looks like it's going to be 3rd. That's going to be inside 2nd row there for Matthew Gowans. Next up, Joel Berkeley. He could be starting 5th. He could be starting on the front row, Scott.
That he certainly could, and worthwhile pointing out just for the dash as well. Front row or inside of the 3rd row. The spinning wheel shall decide the fate of Mr. Joel Berkeley and the number 9. It's going to be P2 outside of the front row for the dash.
Very nicely done there. Just a few more pixels, a bit more momentum from our circular assortment of pixels, and it could have been a P1 start in the dash for Berkeley. Now we're deciding where Zach Rattray White's going to do it. 1st or 5th? What's it going to be? A 50-50 chance, and it's going to be 5th place for Zach Rattray White. That means that Clayton Davies is going to be starting P1 for the dash.
It'll be 6 laps worth of racing action. At the end of those 6 laps, the top 10 will be starting from where they finish in that one. So it'll be Clayton Davies to take the pole and Rattray White along his outside. The second half now of the field is what we're going to be setting. Drivers 6 through 10. Wilson, Smith, Boyce, Baldwin, and Bryan. And it's going to be, again, ladies and gents, the reason we do this is because if you start on pole, oftentimes you set off into the sunset, all set on qualifying. This is to mix it up a little bit. You got to race for it. You got to earn yourself a victory in this series. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and it's going to be 6th place, the best on offer from the second half of the grid for Wilson.
Yep, that's a best case scenario there for Darcy Wilson, deciding by random chance. Now we're going to decide where Ayrton Smith is going to be starting. Smith has had some really good form here tonight, and I get the feeling he'll be trying to gun as hard as he can no matter where he starts here. It's going to be 7th, another best case scenario run. Tell you what, wouldn't it be funny if we ended up deciding 8th, 9th, and 10th in order?
A statistical improbability, that certainly is for sure. We jump our way over to Mr. Hadley Boyce in the 727 machine. He is going to be starting his night off from 9th, so we skip 1 spot. It's not going to be the statistical improbability. And from here on out, we are off to 8th or 10th, the outside of the back 2 rows of the dash.
And the next driver up for consideration is our series administrator and organizer, Brady Baldwin. Let's see whether he starts 10th or 8th. It's going to be 10th, all the way at the back for the 6-lap dash to decide the A main top 10 on the grid. And that means that 8th position will ultimately go to Paul Bryan. So there is your starting order then for the dash. Reminder, it's going to be a simple 6-lap race between those 10 drivers starting in that order. And where they end up finishing is going to be where they start on the A main grid. Davies and Berkeley certainly have a very good chance to make good on this. They could be fighting for the front row themselves, but keep an eye out for drivers behind. I'm looking in particular for Paul Bryan, who was looking very aggressive in his heat. Rattray White, who absolutely dominated his heat. And, well, Ethan Foley has certainly shown fantastic form so far too.
Yeah, that's it. And the best part about this race as well is also think about the race format. 6 laps here. And the benefit of iRacing, you can't tear up the equipment. You can go as hard as you like. That car is going to be brand spanking new to start our feature here in just a few minutes as well. So what's the big win? What can you lose? Well, if you're 10th place and your name's Paul Bryan, you can lose absolutely nothing. You were scheduled to start 10th place. You are going to be on all-out attack. For the guys in the front half of the field, they've got it all to lose. You can only go backwards if your name is Clayton Davies. He'd love to roll off from P1 when we get our way across to the feature, but he's got it all to do. Joel Berkeley as well. Love to get his season started off on a great note. We've seen this track develop towards the top side. Could the outside be the place to be?
Yeah, I think in the short term it will be, but as it comes on through the feature, I think the bottom is going to start coming back. We see those grooves lower down starting to form too. Drivers could potentially use those ruts and rises lower down to get a good run on the inside. All right, it looks like we're going to be getting this dash off to a start. The redraw and the dash presented by Australian Speedway results. And we are being led away now. Already a spin there at the back, and that's involved 3 cars. Paul Bryan, Zach Rattray White, Hadley Boyce, and Ayrton Smith, as well as Matthew Gowans, already out of this one. But it looks like they're going to be continuing with the dash from here.
And the biggest and best part about all of this at the moment is Clayton Davies has got his way clear at the front. It's going to be Foley who manages to slot his way into P2. From the airback, it's Darcy Wilson to Joel Berkeley. Berkeley's missing the front wing on the thing. He'll be just looking to try and survive at the moment. But the wheelman in number 7 is going to be that of Brady Baldwin, who is set to try and hunt him down. He's 5th at the moment. Now he's trying to throw a move for 4th.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to do it. Joel Berkeley just unable to get the turn in there. Great run out of turn 4, though, and he's going to fight as hard as he possibly can here. It may only be worth 1 spot on the A main grid, but he'll fight for it as we would expect him to. Just a couple of laps remaining, and Clayton Davies is well and truly in the lead of this one, but getting chased down a little bit by Ethan Foley, who's managed to catch him up a little bit. Zach Rattray White falling a lap down. It's all he can really do to get himself, you know, as many spots as he can with that damaged car. Well, let's see how this works out now for Davies, who looks like he's about to come across the line.
Yeah, I think this will be it. White flag, I believe, has just been thrown. So 1 more lap left to run for the driver in the number 10. He got the draw right. He set sail in this one. Foley's going to take full advantage and jump his way into P2. But how about series administrator Brady Baldwin? There's going to be a battle for P4 in this race. Wilson goes to the slow side. Not quite going to be able to get there. Baldwin moves to P3. Big gains for him. And Darcy Wilson home in 4th. Joel Berkeley will be P5 with the bent front end on the number 9. But at least a couple cars across the line there. The big one will be decide, how do they decide the back end of the 10? There was a lot of different guys who got involved in that one, and there were 3 separate drivers bent up. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the drivers organising themselves in finishing order from that one so that we can all grab what that result is going to be.
Yes, indeed. Oh man, what a fantastic little race we just had there. It has resulted in quite a bit of I guess, momentum building up here as we'll bring Clayton Davies into the commentary box. Clayton, well, you started up the front, and all you had to do really was keep it at the front. You are going to be the pole position starter for the A main today. It must feel good.
Yeah, it feels good to finally have some pace. I was kind of in no man's land of my heat there, so kind of glad that we made some adjustments and got me back on to where I felt a bit comfortable. So hopefully this is a bit different than other times. I usually don't do well when I'm starting off the pole. I usually get in my own head. So hopefully I can put in 35 good ones and just head out.
How's the track feeling? Because the first time you raced tonight, it was on a relatively clean track. It's evolved a lot more now. There's a lot more slick out there on the circuit.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot wider now, and it's kind of shown exactly where you need to run. I feel like I'm a bit far out of the seat, and I was kind of wondering where I needed to be, and couldn't position myself in the right spot. So now that it's kind of widened out and slickened up, I think the lines are a bit more obvious, and I think we're going to get some good racing.
Well, you only had 6 laps to really tell, but it looks like you've learned a bit there from the dash, Clayton. Best of luck for the race. Congratulations on pole. We'll see if we're talking to you again at the end.
Thanks, mate.
Clayton Davies there has pole position for the A main tonight here at Volusia Speedway Park. The A main presented, of course, by LCJ Carpentry, ran by ODSC admin Liam James, who was also in race control tonight. LCJ Carpentry can handle all your carpentry needs in the Melbourne region. Great service, quality workmanship, any small job or reno work, contact LCJ Carpentry. So we got 35 laps coming up here, Scott, and that's 35 green flag laps. That's another aspect of how dirt racing operates slightly differently to the tarmac racing we usually cover here on SimSpeed. When a caution comes out, when there's a crash, when there's a safety car, the lap count pauses.
Yeah, it does. And that's a real big element of it as well. And the big thing that you're going to see in terms of what goes on here in the iRacing under caution, there's a couple main key factors to that. Number one, this race could be 45, 50 laps. If we get enough caution laps for it to go that long, you can't fuel the car for 35 laps. You can gamble. You can run a lower fuel level. That means you've got a lighter race car. You're pushing less rate around, but you're taking a big old risk. You're saying the whole race has to go green. No, 35 green flag laps. That's the big thing. Some of these drivers as well. After last year, we do have ourselves a fast repair, a spare car back in the sheds, only available for the first 10 or 15 laps, depending upon what racetrack that we're actually at. After that point, you're locked in. And I've just been heard what it is, 15 laps here tonight as well. Any crashes after 15 laps, you are done for the day. Number 3, you're going to see this track continue to develop. But the biggest thing, rolling around on slow, caution-based laps moves the track state faster than running under green. That's just one of the unique things about the sim that we're currently in. Some may say one thing, some may say another. It's a factor that all the drivers have to compensate for. Every single caution, that track state and where the rubber is laid down, as well as the loam, will change. And Reese, that shiny stuff, now we're starting to see some rubber laid down on it. That actually means more grip.
Yeah, indeed. So when the drivers are able to get onto it and just nail their trajectory, they'll get faster lap times from that. But you don't want to be up in the marbles, so to speak, the loam that's been thrown up to the top of the racetrack. It is cooler up there, so there should be a good amount of grip to get there. But you run the risk of sliding a little bit too much. You run the risk, of course, of hitting the guardrail as well. Very low guardrails here at Volusia, and we've seen a few drivers fall victim to that early on, getting sent up and over the wall. I think when we go to some tracks later on in the season, we're going to be seeing a little bit more than that. So we'll see for the moment the drivers making their way onto the grid for the A main, and it looks like currently, in terms of the standings of the points gathered so far, it's Matthew Stables who for Speedway drafts, Matthew Stables, Rusty O'Neill, and Brenton Hobson are currently our top 3 ranked drivers. So go on to speedwaydraft.com. You'll be able to find your way through to getting your own team together from a budget of $30,000 virtual dollars to figure out who's going to be the most successful this season. So, time then for the A main presented by LCJ Carpentry. It's going to be Clayton Davies starting on pole position, as we said, as we chatted to a bit earlier. It's going to be Ethan Foley starting with him on the front row, with Brady Baldwin and Darcy Wilson on row number 2. Joel Berkeley and Zach Rattray White are going to be your third row. Then it's Hadley Boyce and Paul Bryan on row number 4. The top 10 rounded out by Matthew Gowans and Ayrton Smith. Those are the ones that had to be slightly reordered, Scott, thanks to the redraw and the dash, but we've got a bit more to come here.
Yeah, that we do. Outside the 10, Darcy Wilson from Tanner Pettit is going to make up row number 6, the inside and the outside. Can Tanner make some speed from the high line in number 24? Back to row number 7, Nash Granger in the 5 and Nathan Vanderwacker. These guys were throwing down in that B main. It was certainly all on there for young and old at the back end of that one. Vanderwack will be in the outside of row number 7. Dan Grimshaw and the Old Man Racing number 75 to the inside of row number 8. Tim Ryan, the Speed Factory 98, will be to his outside. Row number 9 is going to be that of Hayden Vickers in the Synergy Sim Racing 98. Daniel Boyd in the Vortex Sim Sports 79 to round out row number 9. Row number 10 is going to be Kobe Noonan for the Vortex Sim Sport 26. And Harry Stewart, will he go big? Will he go home from the 96 on row 10?
Only 4 more cars to go, and those are the cars that made it through from the B main. Blake Walsh and Thomas Mitchell on row number 11. And finally, the last 2 cars to take the start of the first A main of the season here. John Schultz and Nick Ryan from the back. This is going to be such an incredible race. Make sure that you're strapped in, you've got something to eat, something to drink, because you're going to be here on the edge of your seat the whole way through. 35 green flag laps. Getting ready to start here with Darcy Wilson taking point. Sorry, Clayton Davies taking point at the front of the field here. He's chosen the inside line for the start. Green flag flies, and we are away for the A main already. Darcy Wilson with problems there. That was a big slide through turns 1 and 2, and he's fallen all the way back to 22nd. Zach Rattray White trying to make up some spots there, powering round the outside of Joel Berkeley and Paul Bryan. Let's see what he can do to mount an attack on Baldwin. The top of the track is looking very strong right now.
Yeah, have a look at how checked up it is, though, and have a look at the 98 machine. Gets to the bottom, looking to try and make some passes from Tim Ryan. Wants to put that stamp of authority down. Was a grumpy man at the back end of last season. It is just about a car park up in that top lane at this point in time. Everyone is just single file up there trying to make some moves, trying to make some speed, seeing if they can't rip their way through the field. Just about 3 wide. Again, Ryan's going to try and show the nose. He's going to be down the inside of the 727. Hadley Boyce gets that moved on. Contact between Rattray White and the 7 machine. Brady Baldwin puts the man in the fence.
Oh, and Zach Rattray White has lost his front wing from that, and the dramas are going to continue for him coming into turn 1. He made contact, I believe, with Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley, and he's been sent back even further now. He is dropping like a stone towards the back of the field is Zach Rattray White, and he'll be in danger of falling outside of the top 20 now. Look at the dust being thrown up as the track has dried out over its usage today.
And the big thing I got in a message from our defending champion that is not here earlier in the week was keep your eyes on the 98 machine. Tim Ryan loves a bit of moisture down low. He'll try and find the traction. Where is the 98 machine gone to find speed? Well, he's clambered his way through the field. He was outside the 10. He is already up 13 spots in the 98 machine. Tim Ryan's been a World of Outlaws champion, and now he's trying to challenge for P3. It's going to be the fence, though, for Brady Baldwin. Can't quite keep the thing underneath him in that top groove. The top 2 are up and against the wall, but everyone else behind them scatters, looking for a piece of racetrack to find some speed.
Joel Berkeley and Harry Stewart making their way past Paul Bryan there, and it looks like Tanner Pettit is having a charge around the outside, out of turns 1 and 2. The speed along turns 3 and 4 for the American as he tries to ride and rip the top as best he can there, making his way up from round about 12th place at the moment. 5 spots gained, but Harry Stewart is the hard charger. The next car up from him, up 14 places so far for the number 96. Incredible stuff as they are almost 3 wide through 3 and 4. This is going to be tight here, a battle for 4th. You'd almost think it was for the transfer, but this is for the final results of the night.
And the best part is the gloves are off. We're not even halfway through. We're not even to 1/3 of the way through our A-main here. And now they're still throwing punches as best they can. The 7 machine of Baldwin up and against the fence. Unfortunately for the 7, it looks like he might just be starting to struggle a little bit. If you slide those tyres, you cook them early, you're starting to go backwards. Berkeley might not have had the early speed, but now he's starting to find something on board the 9. Paget makes a major move and slides all the way to the top of the racetrack, trying to take it away from the 7 machine and Baldwin. That's actually lost him 2 spots. He had the pass done, now he's lost them both.
And Matthew Gowans is descending down as well outside the top 10 now. Look like a coming together in the midfield as Pettit, Berkeley and Baldwin continue to fight here over 5th place. Harry Stewart not too far ahead in 4th. It looks like he's got some lap traffic to deal with there. That's Zach Rattray White, who's still continuing on despite losing his front wing. He wants a finish here. He has fallen a lap down already, but we still have, for now, all 24 cars who started still running.
Yeah, at the moment, though, and it'll depend upon whether or not they can get that one out of there. The disappointing part, though, is going to be for Rattray White. We've crossed over that fast repair window. That means he's stuck with that race car to the end of the race. If he pulls to pit road, his night will be over. That is for sure. Tim Ryan's shot his way through the field. He runs all the way up to P3. 7/10 of a second now back from Ethan Foley, and it looks like the speed is just a little bit better from Ryan at the moment. Clayton Davies is showing a clean pair of heels, and the number 10 continues to just run speed laps out in front at the moment. Best of the field, 1.3 to 1.4 seconds out in front. First caution flag of the night. Berkeley might be out of here. Indeed, the number 9, the Ulick Sim Sports car. Top wing gone, speed gone, car done to the garage, my friend.
And unfortunately, the man to blame seems to be Blake Walsh. He tried a slider up the inside of turn 1, but the car overcorrected on him, and he was sent right up into Berkeley, who gets sent over the guardrail, and that is the rear wing gone. Biggest downforce producing device on the car, basically turns it into a wingless sprint, which is worth absolutely nothing in a field like this. So Joel Berkeley, he's still rolling, but he is going to have to bring that back into pit lane and park it now. Unfortunately, that happened a few laps after the fast repair window closed.
Oh, there's going to be a little bit of anger, a little bit of beef between the drivers as well. He is not happy in the number 9 machine, and the drivers are showing a little bit of emotion on night number 1. Something to talk about. Have a look at the right front tyre on that car for the number 9 as well. It's not just the top wing that's gone. I think he is over and done with. Indeed, he is. We are going to get ourselves set for another restart here, Reese, and this is what we talked about. These laps don't count, and we've just logged off 18. We are just past the halfway point. Have a look at that middle groove, though. It has slicked off to the maximum. The bottom groove's starting to come back to us. I think there's some rubber down there. There's a little bit of purchase, and that's where the racetrack is, all the way at the top, all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, and all the way at the bottom is a place where Tim Ryan likes to run. That's where he's been for the majority of this race. One of the only drivers to really do so. Tim's more often than not been a master at managing the pace down low, running those geometrically faster laps there and maintaining the pace, keeping the car nice and straight. Now, the field has been compressed up under this caution period. This is going to be the chance that Ryan needs to have a run at the win, but Clayton Davies is going to lead us away for the first restart of the race, and he's immediately up the top, but Tim Ryan sticking to the bottom wall like super glue.
And I tell you what, he's finding a little bit of speed as well. Clayton Davies is trying to use the throttle to rip the fence at this point in time. First lap on the bottom was a touch quicker from Tim Ryan. The problem is, though, half the field's migrated back down to the bottom of the racetrack. It'll start to go away, but there was some loam that was starting to move up off of 1 and 2. Might be some grit. Harry Stewart's migrated his way inside the top 4 as well. Tanner Pettit's up there and amongst things. There's a bunch of drivers who are looking for a result here tonight. Restarts and 3 wides seems to be on the menu.
And Tim Ryan to the lead. Got a great run out of turn 2 there. It'll be up to Clayton Davies to try and fight back. Still running the outside. Does he try and switch it up here? Got to avoid that part in turn 1 where the wall juts out on the right-hand side. Almost fed the right rear to it, did Clayton Davies. He'll have to be careful going forward. But Tanner Pettit and Ethan Foley are now fighting over 3rd place, just behind them with Stewart and Baldwin waiting in the wings. The second of our Americans, Aiden Forster, has found himself himself in P7 now, and it looks like he's well within a chance of getting those positions. Coming up to 12 laps to go now, and it's Tim Ryan in the lead by 0.3 of a second. Clayton Davies is starting to run a bit lower down the racetrack. He's working the middle, but he's not finding any grip there.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is you can't really work the middle at the moment. There was a fractional loam for a little period of time that started to appear up there. The problem is, if you're on the high side and there's someone beneath you, you can't switch lanes. You're sort of trapped, but you might have a car that's better off at one end of the racetrack as well. If you need to be running on the high side because that's what your car's built for, you can't migrate down. You don't have choices. Tanner Pettit just threw a slider to try and chop the nose of Alan Foley and maybe take some momentum away. He's going to try and steal that one for third. Deeper in the field, the 42 machine of Paul Bryan, and there's Thomas Mitchell in the 28 as well.
Running 11th place at the moment is Thomas Mitchell. Front row seat to this three-way fight. Paul Bryan and Nathan Vanderwacker battling with Matthew Gowans. And outside that, we have Hadley Boyce, John Schultz, Blake Walsh, Daniel Boyd, Nick Ryan and Nash Granger all scrapping over 12th place. Might look like a bit of a technical issue for Thomas Mitchell just up ahead, as well, as it looks like the leaders are encountering lap traffic for the moment. They've just made their way past Hayden Vickers there in the green machine. But Tim Ryan has extended his lead over Clayton Davies. Davies probably doesn't have the car that he needs to really use the bottom like Tim Ryan's doing, but he's going to have a go at it. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, and he's trying to throw all that speed down there. Foster's starting to move around the racetrack a little bit just to change things up as he currently sits. He's throwing it all out for Harry Stewart in the rear end of his car. Will enter 5 to go territory next time by. 6 on the clock at this point in time. Hadley Boyce is in struggle street as he's just trying to put it together. This is what our race leader's looking at. And Tim Ryan had troubles in lap traffic last year. Is 2026 going to kick off the same way for the 98? Gets to the inside, wants to clear the machine, manages to do so. Time's starting to run out for the field to run down the former WA sprint car driver.
Absolutely. Tim Ryan, a Perth boy, much like me, and it's been fantastic to see his form. He was the first. Oh dear, yes, Davies falling behind Tanner Pettit now. That's a change for second place, and Pettit is working the bottom very nicely. Davies is going to respond by getting back up the top, but there's traffic in the way. He has to slip down low as there's 3 laps to go.
And the big thing is, this is Team Boss versus the driver that's led that section of the racetrack all night. Got up and in the fence, nearly up and over. Somehow the number 10 still on the racetrack. 2 more laps left to run. Do you throw it out on your Team Boss on night 1 of the year? Or maybe do you just keep the thing on 4 wheels, score a podium, put it all together? Blake Walsh, we've called him Mr. Slick in 2026. Tim Ryan from the final corner. He's going to grab the white flag as it starts to wave. There's 1 more half mile. There's 2 more turns, and the number 98 had a torrid 2025, 2026, and the Logitech machine's going to start off in a world better for the 98. Tim Ryan, night 1, sticks it in the record books there for me, Reese. What a night on the first night of school.
Fantastic stuff. The first ever iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car World Champion is Tim Ryan, and he is back to winning ways. It was a super close finish between the Tanner Pettit Racing teammates. Pettit himself only 0.05 of a second ahead of Clayton Davies. After we go through the results, we'll check that out. No, actually, we're going to be doing it now, says Jay Kennedy. Here they come, and this is the full final lap between Pettit and Davies. Great racing between the teammates, Scott. It looked like Clayton was working the middle again, just a bit more momentum, but not quite where it counted.
No, the big thing was for Clayton, he felt stronger, he felt better up in that high line, and Tanner tried to wrap the bottom and wrap that wall. That lane at the very bottom of the racetrack went away a little bit. You actually watched Clayton Davies in those last 2 laps, a little bit of rubber in that middle groove. That middle groove went away first. It was the first groove to go away, and then it came back, but it was at the very back end of the feature. Do you see that with that grip? And that's the thing. You've got to search around as a sprint car driver. Went away at the fence, come back in the middle. Clayton couldn't find it down low because Tanner was there. If he wanted to pass him, he had to try and get to the outside. Found that grip on the last lap, but it was 1 lap too late. I reckon you give him 1 more lap, probably would have gotten past Team Boss once again.
Indeed, but in the end, it is the Team Boss who finishes ahead of him there. The last 2 spots on the podium, with Tim Ryan taking victory by 2.1 seconds in the end, One interruption due to a caution. Ethan Foley, a great night for him, finishes the feature in 4th place with Aidan Forster in 5th. Harry Stewart making up a mammoth 14 positions. Not quite as many as Tim Ryan, but still double digits, and a fantastic run from Mr. number 96. Brady Baldwin finishes in 7th with Matthew Gowans and Nathan Vanderwacker 8th and 9th. Paul Bryan rounding out your top 10, 6.5 seconds back.
Yeah, outside the 10 is going to be Tom Mitchell, 7.6 seconds back from the lead from Schultz. And Granger for the Drop a Gear Motorsports number 5. He had a few issues in that one. Dan Boyd for Vortex Sim Sport out of 14th. Nick Ryan and the Synergy Sim Racing 15th and 16th spot alongside a Blake Walsh and Mr. Slick Racetrack. Couldn't find that speed tonight. Last car on the lead lap. 727 at Hatley Boys rounds out the first cars off of that lead lap. Viridium Sim Sports and Anton Smith, teammate alongside of him in 18th. Hayden Vickers in the next of the Synergy Sim Racing machines. Dan Grimshaw to round the 20.
In 21st place, it was Darcy Wilson, 2 laps down, and it was 9 laps down for Kobe Noonan. Unfortunately, Joel Berkeley and Zach Rattray White, 2 of the really big heavy hitters today, were not able to get the result they wanted in the feature, but they will still have the points that they got from the heats, and they'll be able to work their way through from that. It is only the first round of a very long season. And though the celebrations will be happening for now, they'll have to get right back to it very shortly indeed. We're going to be joined now by our podium from the A main. First up to join us is the number 98 of Tim Ryan. Back to winning ways, Tim. And you did something that I found to be very typical of you in recent years. You ran the bottom and you didn't leave it.
That felt good.
Good to hear, mate. How was the track evolving for you? Was it always going to be a run at the bottom, or did you consider other lines?
No, I would have liked to have been able to move around, but obviously with Aiden straight lining me in the heat race, it made it a little bit hard. So had to go with something a little bit different. I versed him in an official early in the week as well, and I knew he struggled when it went slick. So I was hoping the same thing would happen to the other TPR cars. And yeah, mine was really good at the end. So yeah, I don't run this series every race though, so just taking it as it comes.
Well, regardless, shows that you've certainly lost none of your form from a 16th place start to winning the A main. You must be very happy with how the car's been handling over the course of the week, and whichever rounds you're showing up to next, you'll be well prepared for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I still really enjoy getting on as well. I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes that will come out with different wheelbases and stuff. So yeah, that was really exciting. I felt really good there through the slick. Felt like I had heaps of detail. So yeah, it was really exciting.
Excellent stuff, Tim. Well, congratulations to you for taking the first silverware of the Sprintcar Pro Invitational Series. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, Brady and admin team for putting it all together. It's seriously a big event. This would be honestly even more competitive than a World Championship round. Just with the way everyone's already locked in, having so many cars and that. So it's really competitive. It makes it a really enjoyable run. You guys for the professional broadcast, and I'll see you guys on a race next.
Excellent stuff, Tim. Hopefully it's soon. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Tim Ryan there, winner of the A main, and Scott's gotten a chance to catch up with the man himself, Tanner Pettit, who finished in second.
Tanner, tricky night in terms of trying to get your way through the heats and make it up to here. But the big thing is experience shows when you come to these racetracks. And that was a tricky sort of track to sort of dial in early on in that feature. Had to make a couple of calls. Teammate Clayton, he went the fence. He was very, very comfortable up on that high side. But the big thing was it looked like that low side for the bulk of that feature race was where you wanted to be.
Yeah, most definitely. I tried to make top side work for the first 20 or so, and was having a lot of fun up there and was really making it work. But eventually it just kind of got too thin, too scary, and I kind of committed to the bottom. I think my teammate kind of did the same there towards the end, and all in all, it was a great run. I'm pumped for us to get podiums.
I think the biggest thing here tonight is, and Tim Ryan just basically said the same, is, you know, this field is so big, it's so challenging. The depth of talent is that, you know, there's going to be weeks where you don't transfer through to that redraw spot, and you've got to sort of make your way from a little bit deeper in the field, which means you've got to approach these races. You can't just go all out aggression. It's got to be real measured and placing the car nicely, and moves are set up probably a good 7 or 8 seconds in advance before you pull the trigger.
Yeah, most definitely. Especially around a track like Volusia, it's just all momentum based, and I think your biggest thing is qualifying. And I didn't put up the best qualifying effort tonight, which is fine. We rebounded back in the feature, but makes it a little tough early in the night when the track's hooked up, and once it widened out there, we had no problem moving forward.
In terms of the rest of the season as it all moves forward, Volusia, nice point strong night. Is your target that P1 at the end of the year? Do you think you're capable of taking out a championship in 2026?
I think we got a shot, given I can make it to all the rounds here. But all in all, I think my teammates Clayton Davies and Aiden Forrester, I think 3 of us can give it a good shot.
Finally, going to give you the opportunity. The floor is all yours, Tanner. Pleasure having you here in the Combox. Who gets it done for you and the 24?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all my team members over at Tanner Racing. I can't thank all those guys enough, especially with Clayton and Aiden running the series with me. I'd also like to thank Jimmy P. Mac Tools, 1425 Photography, SimWrap Market, Aces Up Sim Sport, CD Cinematography, Trackside Collective, Ethan Johnson for helping the late model side of things. Yeah, bunch of guys make this happen. I'd also like to thank you guys for putting this on. Broadcast was good. Track was good. It was a blast. Thank you guys for having me.
Fantastic stuff from Tanner Pettit today. One of the Americans getting up in the wee hours of the morning to race with Australia and New Zealand's best. Finally, we are joined by his teammate Clayton Davies. From pole position to still finishing on the podium, Clayton, it looked like that caution was what ultimately allowed Tim and Tanner to catch up.
Yeah, I put all my eggs in the basket of trying to get, hopefully going flag to flag. It's a tall order, just with this track's notorious for bringing out yellows, so I knew the one was going to come. I was just hoping it might have been a little bit earlier. We'll get that green flag run to the end, but I'm still happy with it. They're, like, same as like Brady and a few other dudes. Like, these are my first real laps since the season finale last season. So to come back out of the race and still competitive, I'm absolutely stoked.
As you should be. It's great form considering that, Clayton. Next round, of course, we're going to Huset's, one of the shorter ovals around here. Where do you think that you're best? These half milers, they obviously have their specialists. Where do you think your specialty lies?
I wouldn't say what track size would be my specialty. It's more an area. I feel like my area is definitely the Pennsylvania tracks, like Williams Grove, Lernerville, Lincoln. I tend to always do pretty well there. It's just that I somehow stand on it very hard and cost myself wins there a lot. But the majority of a lot of it's actually any track that I can move around. Like it's there's no real specific track. It's anywhere where I feel like you can get multiple lanes of racing. It's not kind of follow the leader. I tend to do well. I don't like following people. It's a bad habit.
Well, you didn't have to do much following today. You led for the majority of the running tonight, and you get yourself a podium in the end, Clayton. That is a solid points haul and a great start to the season for you. Who got it done for you? First off, I'd like to thank you guys for coming back on board, and Brady, everyone putting on for another season of ASC. I feel like it's definitely stepped up a whole nother level. So to see the effort from all parties put in, it's really showing off a really great product. Everyone to do with the team or partner-wise, I'd like to thank Tanner, Aiden, all the guys on the team, Jimmy P, Mac Tools, 1425 Photography, Aces Up Sim Sport, CD Cinematography, Trackside Collective, Blake Carrick Racing, late model guys for that program, Ethan Johnson and Jordan Casey, my personal sponsors, Atlantic Oil, Western Machine Shop, Logitech G, and yeah, that's all. Thanks very much for joining us, Clayton. Hopefully we're talking to you many more times this season.
Hopefully. See you guys.
Clayton Davies there, third place in the end. And that's going to be the end of the racing portion of the night, Scott. But here are the points for our Speedway draft. And oh my God, I'm leading.
God damn it, I'm never living this down. Actually, I've had a few messages already come in my way, and I've already had to extend it. I said, look, I really wanted to throw some shade because I race for Vortex Sim Sports in the NASCAR side of things. Wanted to throw some shade the way of my team boss. Well, the guy that I picked, didn't really do all that fantastic at the top end of that tower, but I also didn't pick my team boss in Tom Mitchell, and pulls off an 11th in the feature. But you guys put some bulk points down there. It's really, really tight between Jay and myself. But the big thing, ladies and gentlemen, is you can join in on each of this each and every week as well. We're going to be chatting a little bit, trying to pull some statistics out of this each and every week. When we get to live things, your picks do shut about an hour before we go racing each and every week. So just after we start talking about all the analytics of it, it's too late to swap your picks. The bad news is we all picked Cole Ferguson. I'm going to send a commentary box apologies to Cole Ferguson. I think we gave him the biggest commentator's curse you can ever give, which is all three of us picking him for a fantasy draft. There is no bigger commentator's curse than that. So, Cole, that's on us, buddy.
And we didn't have to say a word to do it. Well, we'll see how Cole does, as well as the rest of our field, when we go live on Wednesday, the 8th of April, for the second round of the ASRG Sprintcar Pro Invitational Series. Same time, same day of the week, from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern. And we hope that you can join us for that in a few weeks' time. But that is certainly not the only thing we've got going here, Scott. We have got the Moser Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Round 1 from Hockenheim coming next week.
Yeah, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, I get behind the wheel of a Porsche Cup car. If you're watching next Wednesday, the 1st of April, 7:45 p.m., we are heading to Germany to kick off the Moser Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. But that's not all coming from the channels of the ASRG. In 2026, we've got 3 series coming your way. We've just talked about the smaller 2. This is the big one. It is going to be sprint round time from Road Atlanta for the Logitech G V8 Pro Invitational Series. When we go to one of the tracks with the highest rise and fall, who is going to be able to dominate with multiple race starts from the 29th of April, 7:45 p.m. is when we flip back to AEST. You see that? We got Easter right there in the middle. And a joke that's not lost on me, Reese. I make my pro racing debut on the 1st of April. It's the biggest joke going in the sim racing world, I tell you.
Yeah, certainly. Jay was roasting you quite a bit before we went live on that one, but goodness me, what a start to the season. And I don't think we could have asked for a more perfect start for the ASRG Sprintcar Pro Invitational here at Volusia. This is the point where we will say our goodbyes, but a huge thanks to all of the partners, sponsors, and supporters of this series. NBS 3D printed RC and slot car customs on the hot laps and practice, Simrat Market for qualifying, Mono Creative presenting the heats, Wimmera Dry Cleaners for the C main, McSlide Race for the B main, Australian Speedway results for the dash and redraw, and the A main for this round presented by LCJ Carpentry, the big Gator Bash at Volusia Speedway Park, round 1 of the ASRG Sprintcar Pro Invitational. Thanks very much for joining us, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Kick. We appreciate you coming in and being a part of the show with us. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, bringing you these pictures on SimSpeed TV. We'll see you next time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.